The system failed Tina Fontaine. That's the conclusion of a new report by the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth. It reveals multiple agencies did not or were not able to extend services to the First Nations teen that may have saved her life. Tina Fontaine's body was pulled from the Red River in Winnipeg in 2014. No one has ever been convicted. Joining us from Oxford House this morning, Oxford House in Manitoba, for her thoughts on the report is Indigenous advocate Sheila North. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
You said before the report's release, what you were hoping for is that it would call for improved access to support services for Indigenous women and girls who are in crisis. It laid out 5 recommendations that point directly to the province's pillars of government, justice, health, and education, saying all of them failed to protect her. What were your thoughts on these recommendations?
I think that they started to scratch the surface of the bigger problems. I don't know if it went far enough for a lot of people that know the issues intimately. I think that further to that could have been, tackling the colonial impacts of what happened to Tina and thousands of other young, vulnerable people like herself. And I think this does point out, though, and reminds Canada that we still have a lot of big issues to deal with when it comes to our women and girls in Canada. So I think, it does scratch the surface, but it needs to get further than that. And maybe that's not the advocate's role to point that out. But at the same time, it would never go far enough to save someone like Tina.
Let's talk about those big issues. The report appears to push blame for Tina's death away from family and child services and suggests that she was the victim of a series of failures, from her school not stepping in when she started missing classes to her not being able to access support after her father was murdered in 2011. What do you think is the root cause of all of these opportunities, all of these safety nets just not being there for her?
Well, I think it's attitudes and sometimes people forgetting to be human. Unfortunately, that sounds simplistic, but it's true. I think that what we're seeing in the response by the police system, the justice system, the health and the welfare and the education and even the poverty rates that we see are all pointing to the fact that there is still a disregard for Indigenous people in this country, especially to the most vulnerable, as I say, Indigenous women and girls, and even young boys, especially ones that come from the reserve to the cities in urban areas. It's, we might take it for granted that we come from the same country, but when you grow up on the reserve and try and function in an urban center, it is a foreign territory because you don't know, the way the street works, and you don't know the safeguards that are there, or even if they exist for you. So there is a huge indication that a lot of this is stemmed from the general attitude that colonialism has created over the last 150 years, and that's a bigger problem. But at the same time, it's a reminder that that big problem is hurting and even killing our young people.
Sheila North, good to get your response on these recommendations and this report we've been waiting to read. Thank you so much.
Thank you.